Randomness of Nothing guests and listeners, thank you very much for taking time out again to listen to our episodes of this show. And today I have a very special guest that I'm honored to speak with today and get a chance to interview and pick his brain. Brandon Leibowitz of SEO Optimizers. He involves digital marketing, optimizing your website, and bringing leads and business to your businesses. He's helped both small businesses, medium-sized businesses, and Fortune 100 companies. Thank you, Brandon.
Thank you for having me on today.
You have a wonderful background, and you really started from the ground up, and you bootstrapped your own company, and now you're obviously having the success from it. So please, for the purpose of the show, please tell us about your background.
Got involved with digital marketing back in 2007. After I graduated from college, I got my degree in business marketing, and one of the first jobs I was offered was doing search engine optimization, which I didn't really know much about it. They didn't really teach you that in school back in 2007.
Yeah.
I let the company know that, and they said, don't worry, we're new to this as well, and we're going to learn with you and take you to different classes and workshops and seminars. And after doing that for a few months, I just realized everyone's probably going to have a website in the future, and SEO is a way to get free traffic, and who wouldn't want free traffic? So that got me sticking with search engine optimization and working at different advertising agencies as a director of SEO, and before work and after work and on my lunch breaks, I'd work on my own company, and eventually was able to build that up to quit my job, and been doing this ever since, just helping people tap into that free traffic from search engines or LLMs or wherever people are searching.
What was it like being at the forefront of maybe I need a website, maybe I need a digital presence, to you absolutely have to have one, no questions asked. So, what was that phase like? 2007 is not that long ago in the greater scheme of post 2000s, but 18 years is a lifetime in technology and web, utilization, because YouTube only came out in 2005. That's pretty amazing.
Yep, no, it's changed a lot, and it's evolved a lot since back then. Nobody understood why I need to have a website. Now everyone's like, I need to have a website. It's like the opposite. So back then it was like some people kind of saw the future and were trying to build that presence, like the company I worked at. But most people were just happy to do traditional sales, brick and mortar. And now it's changed a lot, where brick and mortar is unfortunately starting to fade away from the online, the Amazons, and those big players that just kind of dominate and run the show.
Without question. So when you got your start and you're first getting, your feet wet into the pool of SEO optimization to where you've gotten right now, what are some of the best business practices to administer to that company that does want to drive sales, or doesn't have the proper rankings, or doesn't have, they have a great product or perceived to be great product, but they're not getting that traction and traffic that their product and services warrant?
SEO is like a puzzle, and there are a lot of pieces to that puzzle. All of them are very important, but some are much more important than others, like content.
Yes.
And this one doesn't require any coding or any technical knowledge. It's just Google loves text. Search engines, LLMs, they all want content, meaning text. Images, videos, they're getting better at it, but they still prefer text. And the more text you put on your website, on each page on your website, not just the homepage, but every page that you want to rank needs to have text that describes what that page is about with keywords in it. You don't want to just spam, though. You want to make it for the reader, but the more content you put in there that describes what that page is about, the more likely that you will show up for when someone is searching for that. And usually you need to put a couple hundred words of text on each page, which I know most people don't want to put a lot of text on each page. And I just tell people, put it at the very bottom of your page, because most people are not going to really scroll to the very bottom of a page, but search engines and the robots, they'll read from top to bottom, and they'll see that content, they'll pick it up, and they'll be able to better understand what that page is about. Just don't hide it. That's one thing where you can actually get penalized, and if you do the wrong things, instead of moving up, you drop down, which we don't want that to happen. So where you're like hiding stuff in font size 0.001 or anything that seems like you're manipulating or trying to hide something. Google's been around for 30 plus years. They've seen these tricks, and they're happy to penalize people. We don't want that to happen.
Do you know how the SEO now it goes from, the US based versus, I know there's a lot of laws that they pass over in Europe and things like that when it comes to different regulations and rules. Have you had any experience with SEO in North America versus abroad?
No, I've helped out people, and even where they don't speak English, and it's a little tricky though, because with content and keywords, it really helps to understand the intent and
Mhm.
who your buyers are. But in Europe, they have more for the ads, the
Okay.
privacy issues, not
Right.
really too much for the SEO that you have
Okay.
to worry about.
Got it. I know that there can be different rules and regulations. So you are a 2007 graduate of California State University. So describe the hustle, what it was like getting this off the ground, because here you are, you're doing it on your lunch break, you're doing it after work, and you're really getting into the nitty gritty of what it's like to launch a business while working full time. What was that?
It was luckily I was doing SEO full time, working at a company full time, and
Yeah.
doing SEO on the side, which made it easy. I wasn't doing two different things, and
Beautiful.
actually kind of helped out, I think, in the long run, where I worked with these agencies doing their SEO for their clients, and then later on after work, I'd work on my own clients and learn more about SEO and more about different tactics and strategies, and it all just helps out because you can transfer over a lot of stuff from one website to another, like
Of
different
course.
findings of strategies, what's working, or different techniques for building backlinks or analyzing your competitors. But it does become a lot to manage when you're trying to juggle a full-time job and trying to do your own side thing. And
For sure.
it's tough with the time management. That's the biggest thing, is just trying to balance that time and figuring out how I could structure my day in a way that's not going to overdo it, where I just am working 24/7. That's not good either. You got to have that work-life balance, which is also what I learned is so important. Just take that time off. I live in Los Angeles near the ocean, so like going down to the beach and
Beautiful.
relaxing and just trying to get away for a little bit and disconnecting from the computer and technology, because we're all so integrated in it that it's tough to even escape. But those little things just to help balance it out, because having your own business and working, it's juggling a lot of things.
Of course it is. I can, and certainly but obviously your hard work paid off. What are some common mistakes that businesses make when they're building their website? Do you recommend them going in-house to try to do things, and handle their own SEO optimization, or is it better for them to utilize a third party? Because there's pros and cons to both, but obviously you've built a successful business where companies have reached out to you.
I was on both sides, working at agencies and working in-house as well. So worked at small mom and pop shop companies when I was first starting out full time, and it really just depends on your needs. Some of these smaller mom and pop shops, thinking you probably don't need a full time SEO person in house. You could probably just use somebody part time, because unless you have a big website, is where it all changes. It depends on the competition, how competitive these keywords are. Like one company I worked for, they sold rugs, Oriental rugs, and they probably had a couple thousand different products on their website. So something like that, I could be full time, and was pretty much full time for them, versus someone where they're just like a dentist or a local business where they might have 10 pages on their website and they just have a local radius where they're competing. It's not as competitive. But once you go national or e-commerce, those are the sites that need a lot more attention, a lot more care. Also the competition. The more competitive those keywords are, the more competition you have. And the more competition you have means you have to build more backlinks, essentially. Backlinks are one of the biggest pieces to SEO. And if you have more competition, you're going to have to be building a lot more backlinks on other people's websites, which that part takes the most time out of SEO.
Just now, for anybody who's listening who has their, their website with their number, their contact information, and the services they provide, this is an ongoing thing to make sure that they consistently stay at the top of the rankings and they're consistently getting ads. Because, now that we're in 2025, obviously you're bombarded with ads and everybody's a, SEO, I don't want to say everybody, but there's a lot more people out here in your field of work than when you first got into it. So how do companies stay competitive in this visible digital market where everybody's being, the old adage is, if it's free, you're not the customer, you're the product being sold, right? YouTube is free, but all these advertisements are bombarding you. How important is it for a company to consistently stay with their SEO optimization so that way they're consistently getting business because of the competition that's out
there? With SEO, the main thing is, how competitive it is. So if you're a restaurant in a small town with like 5 other restaurants in that city, then there's 10 spots on that first page of Google. You're pretty much going to stay on that first page of Google. You still want to get to the top. You still have to maintain a little bit, but it's not like you're a restaurant in Los Angeles where there's thousands of restaurants. Only 10 spots on that first page of Google. And once you get to page 1, you're pushing somebody off of page 1 and they're moving on to page 2, which they're not going to be happy about it. and they're going to try to look at everything that you've done. They're going to look at your keywords that you put on your website, because I could see your code. You could see my code if you look in the right places. I could look at your backlinks, pretty much see your entire strategy, and then just try to do a better job of it. And that means, so the more competition, the more people are going to be fighting to get off of page 2 back to page 1, versus less competition. You're kind of just sitting there where you don't have to worry too much. You still want to be high, like the first position, because position 1 gets the most clicks. Of course. Position 2 gets significantly less, 3, and then it just keeps dropping and dropping exponentially.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, it's just, and you don't really, and as a consumer, you're not even thinking at that second or third page, because chances are, if you want somewhere to eat, you want an immediate need that's as close as possible to where you're at.
Yep. Most people don't go to page 2. They always say the best place to hide a body is on page 2 of Google, because people are not going there. Some people do, but most people are not going down to page 2.
No, especially if, unless you're really, really specialized in a certain type of food that's really exclusive. But if you're looking for burgers and fries and just like I hate, not disrespect because I love them, but, a sports bar, you're usually going to look at, the first 2 or 3 and then keep it moving, so to speak.
Yep. If you're not at the top, you're going to be passed on, unfortunately.
Yeah. That's funny. I think of Talladega Nights, if you're not first, you're last, right?
Nowadays, especially online, because
exactly
the big boxes, the AI overviews that take up a lot of space and push everything down even further now.
For sure. Yeah, so you're also an author and a speaker that's highly in demand as well too. And your book, it says Next Level Self. Can you describe and go into details about that book?
That was a book that I co-authored, just kind of mentioning about, or talking about website optimizations, conversion rate optimization, which is once someone gets to your website, I've realized that's just step 1 with SEO. And traffic is great, but people don't care about traffic. They want sales and leads and phone calls, and making your website work for you is something a lot of people don't really think about when they build a website. They just want a pretty website, one that looks nice, that loads quickly, but they don't think about conversion rate optimization, how to get visitors off of your website and into your funnel. And that's where that book, I go over some strategies. I was a co-author in it, so there's a lot of other authors in it. I am finishing up my own book. It should be done very soon. It's about the power of guest podcasting.
Nice.
Because a lot of people don't realize that guest podcasting gives you these SEO benefits of,
I can only imagine,
getting backlinks, which is the main reason that I'm on other people's podcasts. Is, it's great visibility, exposure. I like sharing my knowledge. I get social media clips, get all these extra benefits. But the main reason that I do it is for search engine optimization. And the more websites that Google sees you published on, the more popular they see you as, the more trust they're going to give to you, and the higher they're going to rank you. So if I'm on someone else's podcast and they publish it on their website, Google sees that another website is mentioning me. That builds me that backlink, and the more quality backlinks you have, the higher to move up those rankings.
That's amazing. It's amazing. And, it definitely helps to be visible, and, those are sometimes the things that people don't really think about unless you really are, your brain is kind of wired in that regard, because, you could be sitting back and saying, well, I just want to be a guest on a show, but you're also here for a purpose of your own business, to be able to sit back and say, this brings more visibility to the products and services, because at the end of the day, you are a service provider, which is wonderful. What do you say to companies that maybe I don't have the budget, or I can't invest, or they're more traditional and old school? A lot of, particularly small businesses, are family ran, and usually, it could be the parent, the grandparent that, hey, I'm a cash restaurant business and I just operate by word of mouth. Have you ever had those situations where you kind of had to kind of quote unquote drag it, like get them kind of kicking and screaming to get to this point to be able to kind of come to the 21st century, so to speak?
Especially back in 2007, 8, 9, 10, those early days. That's when people didn't really understand. Nowadays, most people kind of get it. Still have to educate, but it's a lot easier. But most of the ones back in when I first started, they didn't want to do it, but then eventually they would reach out and be like, hey, I got to get online because all these other people are taking business away from me and I need to be visible. So it's kind of that slow trickle where you can't really force them to do it, but over time they'll see that someone else is taking that traffic away from them.
No question.
Or they're not getting those phone calls that they want to do or that they're looking for. And then they'll reach back out, and then we'll get them on track and move them up those rankings, get them that get them back up there so their competitors aren't taking all that traffic away from them.
Yeah, it's almost like all the restaurants that didn't do delivery, but now everybody partnered with DoorDash just because they had to, because it was a lost opportunity. And so, it's amazing how technology evolves companies, to even begrudgingly, because that's where the market and that's where the customer is headed to. And ultimately, you have to listen to your customer base. I listened to a video of an interview that you did, and you said you talked very candidly about making sure that you test your website. You said you suggested split testing of your website. So what exactly is that for people?
That'd be A/B testing, where you send half of the people one version of your website, and the other half of the people that come to your website get shown another variation, but nobody knows that they're getting served different variations. And then you can see what works best, because it comes down to conversion rate optimization.
Right.
Once you get someone to your website, how do we maximize every visitor? And that's
Right.
where sometimes you're like, should I change this button that says, like if you're e-commerce, it might say add to cart. Maybe you change it to buy now, or maybe you change the add to cart button from yellow to red or pink. And then you can test to see, do conversions increase or decrease? And that's where you can A/B test and split test your traffic to see really what's working. Right. Amazon is notorious for doing it, where they run thousands of tests. Like if we both go to Amazon right now, we're probably going to get shown a different version. It's going to look very, very similar. Maybe they move the add to cart button up a centimeter or a millimeter. So we're not really going to see these big changes.
That's insane. That's nuts.
But it all changes psychologically how you behave online. It's interesting.
That's insane. I didn't even, when you mentioned that, it never even dawned on me. And then you're like, Amazon, like you literally could be looking at something totally different than myself. What's funny is, now for anybody who has Prime now, they've evolved where you can actually buy on the screen during the commercial that's playing during your Amazon commercial now, because they're like, why miss an opportunity to sell somebody something during your Amazon Prime commercial? You can add it right to your cart while watching on TV. And you're like, oh my gosh. Like, this is insane. And, but it resonates because you're halfway tempted, because it's so convenient to now do it while you're watching TV. It's not like I have to pause my show, go to my phone and make a Christmas present purchase. They already know what likely you're to buy by doing it right on your TV.
I have not seen that one yet.
Yeah, it's wild, man. It's crazy. Like literally, because now, all the streaming services have commercials that are playing, and during the commercial there's a little add to cart button during the commercial.
Wow. Now they're making it simplified. The convenience is number one. They want to make it so easy, like one click add to cart or one click checkout. That makes it where it's just the convenience aspect, especially on mobile, where people have cell phones. And with traditional e-commerce websites, like all my old clients, like to check out on mobile, it takes a lot of time. Like most people would never get checkouts on mobile. Most people would get traffic from mobile, and then they would get the conversions on desktop. But Amazon makes it so easy with that one click, where you don't have to put your name, your email, your phone number, your address, your zip code, your state, all this stuff over and over again on a small mobile device. It's tough, and people don't like that. So it's all about just like trying to figure out how I can make it the buying process as easy as possible. That conversion rate optimization is really what it all comes back to, is like, how do we get this traffic to convert? Because people spend money all the time on paid ads, and they'll get hundreds, thousands of visitors to their website. They'll come to me and be like, Brandon, I'm not getting any conversions. I'm like, well, we need to fix the website, or maybe the ads are off. But usually it's the website, the landing page, the funnel, how it looks, the visualizations of it has such a big impact that a lot of people don't even think about that. They're just like, let me send traffic to my homepage. But usually your homepage isn't the best optimized for conversions. And that's where you just got to think like, what's going to be best to get people into my funnel, getting them to sign up for like a lead magnet so I could collect their email address before they leave, because half of any traffic to a website is going to leave immediately. So just trying to capture that traffic before they go. That's where the main thing is, how do we stop people from leaving? But it's inevitable. Every website has that, but the more you can lower it, the better to keep people there.
Without question, because, it's ultimately every, and I'm sure you help people with that, with how many people, how many seconds they did before they made a purchase, or they did make a purchase, so they added to their cart, but didn't make a purchase at that time. And those are the details that, if you're running your business, you may not even know that that's taking place. Like if you have a pizza business, somebody could be all the way to add to cart, but they don't make a purchase. And you say, why? What was wrong with your purchasing buying process? Was it too cumbersome? To your point, it's almost like, now when you go buy gas, right? Like zip code, right? Then it's like, do you want a car wash? And, you're just like, oh my gosh, I just want to fill up my tank. And then it's become now it's a 5-minute questionnaire. Like, next thing you know, there's gonna be a blood sample, being asked for just to pump your tank of gas for those who have, gas powered vehicles, right? So, but now it's become cumbersome just to fill up your tank because now they have to add extra services because now they're competing with just car washes, right?
Everyone's trying to upsell something else, and it's never
Yeah.
ending. They get one idea and then everyone copies it. So one gas station does that, they all copy suit and say, hey, if it's working, no one's left your gas station, you're still getting people that buy.
Yeah.
Let's test it out. Maybe we could get some extra revenue from other upsells.
No question, without question. It definitely. And as annoyed you are, I mean, you got to fill up, So you're not about you can curse under your breath all you want, but there's nothing you can do about that.
No, they know that. That's why they could do it.
So you've had some great testimonials on your website too. People who have seen real success. What was that first like when people started coming to you and say, Brandon, your services, I saw a 200 increase in sales just from your optimization. Is your recommendations word of mouth then? Like, how does the referral program work for SEO optimizers to grow? Is it organically, or does more businesses recommend your services?
A little bit of both. Doing my own SEO on my own website, even though I neglected that for a while, but started really going all in because a lot of people are just like, I don't have time to work on my own website. I got to work on my clients, but I realized my website is like my portfolio. So I got to make sure it looks good. Usually it's word of mouth, and I teach classes. I have do social media, do email marketing, do a little bit of paid ads, do the guest podcasting, and just try to get myself out there as much as possible. But usually referrals, word of mouth are always the best. But when you're starting out, that doesn't always work out. So you need to kind of get the ball rolling and give it that push yourself.
For sure. What's it like competing with people now, who use the bots to get people inflated traffic? Because that's a huge problem. They're artificially inflated traffic or less than stellar means to fool a client. And I'm sure you've had clients who have been burned by those particular tactics because they found out whether rankings, whether penalized by Google, whether refunds that were taking place. What's that like line of work, unfortunately, that you hear about?
Yeah, no, there's a lot of fake traffic, fake everything online, fake. Yeah. The more I've done this, I don't trust anything online. Like most stuff is manipulated. Read any articles you read, any blogs, even like from big publications, it's all kind of manipulated. But in terms of all that, it's just trying to weed through it and just try to see what's real. But sometimes they trick you and it looks good. All those numbers, all the analytics look good, but Google is quick to see when stuff is manipulated and just start tanking your rankings, where you might get a boost real quick of some traffic and rankings by doing some of these like more unethical tactics. Like I was saying at the very beginning, like you want a lot of content on your website. Some people will just hide it in font size 0.001. And if your website's a white background, they'll use white colored font, and that might work for like a month or two, but eventually Google's going to catch on and then drop you down. Those are things where you got to be careful, or just make sure you're not doing anything that seems too good to be true. Anything that seems like a shortcut with SEO, I'd be careful with it, because again, Google's been around for a while and they've seen all these shortcuts, unless you have some brand new idea. But even then, I'd still be wary of doing it on your own website. Maybe you buy a .net or some other website that you don't care about, and you could test these things out. But you don't want to do anything to your main website that could get you jeopardized and get you penalized.
Absolutely.
That's the worst case scenario. I think JCPenney, like 15 years ago, they were buying backlinks and they got caught doing that. And they lost I think they got kicked off Google for like a month or two. They're a big corporation, so they were able to get back in pretty quick. But if you were just a small mom and pop shop, you'd probably be kicked off forever, because JCPenney, they're a big corporation. They're probably spending a lot on ads. Google's like, all right, if you fix this, we'll bring you back. But if it was me or you, they'd probably just like, good luck, start over. You got to start from scratch, unfortunately.
Yeah, and that could literally put you out of business,
Yeah, we don't want that.
What's your public speaking career like? Because you have you do conferences and you've been in demand as a speaker. So how does that expand your brand, and what was the request like when you started doing it?
Well, I've been teaching classes since 2013, and just kind of an extension of me teaching classes. I had my own meetup that I would do and still do in Los Angeles, and built that up to about like 7,000 members, and use that to leverage speaking engagements, but also reach out to other conferences, SEO conferences, digital marketing, doing PodFest in a few months. So hopefully my book will be done by then and could have that book launch for
Yeah.
Podfest. It's all about podcasting and it'll align really well.
Mhm.
Yeah, but those are the main ones.
Yeah,
Just
it's
trying to
funny, this podcasting world that, kind of evolves the crowded space. But, what I, try to do is cultivate a little corner, right? Because, when you think about all the things that you do or don't do well, you really find your voice when you start making a podcast. And one thing that I've always tried to do is talk to people like yourself who are innovators, creators, entrepreneurs and builders, because I believe that your mind can take you places if you're willing to ask the questions to the right people, right? And what they do, how things functions, and to be at the forefront of digital optimization when it really wasn't there or it was a niche, and now to see it where it's everywhere, 24/7. 5-year-olds know how to navigate very proficiently online for the things that they're looking for. It's amazing to see it in real time.
Yeah, there is no constant. It's always evolving and changing. And
Yeah.
nowadays, every second, it seems like with AI and everything. Before that, it was still changing a lot. But now it's just exponentially changing so fast that it's tough to even stay up to date with all the new platforms, tools,
Oh my goodness.
different places you could search, different
No question.
LLMs that keep popping up. And
Without
it's
question.
a lot.
And so, what are the full breadth of services of a digital marketing agency that your company
Mainly focus on SEO, search engine optimization, and paid ads. So getting you ranked up organically. Organic does take time. Takes a few months to get the search engines or LLMs to rank you. And in the meantime, a lot of people want paid ads or want immediate results. So those paid ads come into play where I can help out with Google, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, or even Twitter, LinkedIn, whatever ads. It's all about knowing where your audience is. You don't need to be everywhere. You just need to be where your audience is. And that's number one.
I've heard that from a number of different people who are very successful. They're like, do one thing really well first, right? Do one thing really well first. And it's tough because, you almost have to pull the business owner or the entrepreneur or the creator back and say, just focus on one thing, sell this one widget really well first. And then, don't make 100,000 widgets, do one thing really well. Ultimately, that's how, Apple did really well at the very beginning and became the conglomerate that it is. They had one computer, right? They sold one computer really, really well. And it speaks volumes that sometimes you have to taper your own ambition, to make sure that you do one product or service really well.
Yeah, sometimes you just got to slow it down a little bit and not try to just jump all in and do everything all at once, but just pick and choose those battles. And once you get one done, then move on to the next. But if you try to do everything, you're just juggling too much and it's overwhelming. And then you don't put all your energy into the one that matters. Now you're splitting that energy 50-50 or however you split it, but it's not getting that full dedication that it needs to really grow and be as successful as possible.
Well, and just briefly, think of building your own company first, right? You had to focus on just building SEO, and then it can evolve into the other branches from the avenues that you learned, right? So you took your skill set, used transferable skill sets to grow your company to where now you're very successful and you have clients coming to you, but you handled one particular portion for them really well, which is first getting them ranking. And then as you had other tools that you could utilize that you knew, then you start introducing those other things. And then you tell them, hey, by the way, this will keep you sustainable. This got you on the landing page, but this is going to get you purchases, sales, retention, and growth.
Yeah. When I first started at that first company that I was doing their search engine optimization, I was also doing paid ads, doing email marketing, taking pictures of their products, writing product descriptions, kind of doing it all, social media or social networking back then. It wasn't really social media yet, but I was doing it all and realized, all this stuff works, but I just focused on one thing, which was the SEO, and just went all in on the SEO. Could have done everything, but it just spreads yourself too thin, and it's tough to be a master of everything. And that's why after a while, I was like, all right, I've done SEO, I've done paid ads in the past. I've done paid ads in 2007, 8, 9, 10, probably like 2013. Then I just went more into the SEO, but now I'm like, I've done those paid ads in the past, and they do help out. So might as well just reintroduce that because it's something I know and have seen work very, very well, especially the remarketing ads where someone goes to your website, doesn't buy a product, you follow them around with those ads. Those ads are the most effective, the cheapest, and bring in the most conversions. And I recommend that for every business, like remarket all your traffic because half of those visitors leave immediately. So might as well just follow them around and try to keep yourself top of mind, have another touch point to build that trust for a person.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. Because ultimately they searched for that product for a particular reason, right? They did. they look for it for a particular reason. So I always ask everybody on this podcast, not because they need me, but because for the purpose of the show and the audience that are listening. Where can people find Brandon Leibowitz, obviously SEO optimizers, and your services, and more about you, public speaker, the author, the entrepreneur that you are?
Well, I create a special gift for everybody if they go to my website at SEOoptimizers.com/gift. That's SEOoptimizers.com/gift. And they can find that gift there along with my contact information and classes I've done over the years. I've thrown up for free. So you can see step by step how to do a lot of the stuff that we're talking about. And also, if you do have a website, I'm happy to check it out from an SEO point of view. And you can book some time on my calendar there for free as well.
That's wonderful. I always applaud people like yourself that do podcasts, do shows, and tell people, the nuggets that you guys throw out there. Because in 2025, if you want to learn something, you don't have to look far to find it. Anybody who had Encyclopedia Britannica before had to really go chapter by chapter and then look up one by one. But people like yourself are willing to give these nuggets to people, and we just have to be willing to take the leap of faith and basically say, "Hi, my name is," so to speak, and let the chips fall where they may.
Yep. No, I'm glad to be able to share my knowledge with everybody, and hopefully it gives them some ideas of ways of getting creative and thinking outside the box of how to get search engines, LLMs to give them more visibility and tap into some of that free traffic that's out there.
Wonderful. And as always, I'm very much appreciative, and I'll make sure that our conversations continue, because I think that, as people dive into this digital realm, it's very important to deal with people who are ethical and well-known and successful, such as yourself. So thank you for being on the Randomness of Nothing podcast, Mr. Brandon Leibowitz.
Thank you for having me on today.
It's an absolute honor.